I had been with Amanda for 3 years. We lived together, shared dreams, and I thought we were happy. Then one Sunday morning, she casually mentioned wanting an open relationship. My heart sank, but after weeks of discussion, I reluctantly agreed. Rules were established. Honesty was paramount. Then I ran into her best friend Jessica at a coffee shop. We talked. We connected. One night when Amanda canceled our plans, Jessica and I met for drinks. One thing led to another. Now Amanda has discovered our texts and is completely falling apart. The irony is suffocating. Let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button before I dive into how my life turned upside down. I am Darren, a 32-year-old software developer living in the rainy city of Seattle. The tech industry has been good to me, allowing me to afford a comfortable 2-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill, with a decent view of downtown. I met Amanda at a regional tech conference 3 years ago. She was presenting a panel on user experience design while I was attending to network for my company. Our eyes connected across the room during the post-conference mixer, and within 20 minutes we were deep in conversation about our shared love of hiking the Cascade Mountains. Amanda was everything I had been looking for. Smart, ambitious with long auburn hair, and a smile that could light up even the gloomiest Seattle day. We exchanged numbers and went on our first date the following weekend, a 6-mile hike, followed by craft beers at a local brewery. Our connection was immediate and powerful. We discovered more shared interests beyond hiking, particularly our love of cooking, elaborate meals together, and attending indie film festivals. The relationship progressed naturally. After 6 months, we were spending nearly every night together, and at the 18-month mark, we decided to move in together. My lease was ending, and her place was too small for both of us, so we found the Capitol Hill apartment that became our home. We decorated it together, argued good-naturedly about furniture choices, and compromised on a style that reflected both our personalities. The oversized bookshelf in the living room displayed our merged book collections, a physical representation of our combined lives. During those first 2 years, we supported each other through various challenges. I helped Amanda prepare for a major presentation that earned her a promotion. She encouraged me when I was considering a job change to a startup with better opportunities. We were a team facing life together, with a united front. Amanda had been best friends with Jessica since their college days at the University of Washington. Jessica was a constant presence in our lives, joining us for weekly dinner gatherings and holiday celebrations. She was tall, blonde, and worked as a physical therapist at a sports medicine clinic downtown. Initially, I saw her simply as Amanda's friend, an extension of the relationship package. Jessica was friendly but kept a respectful distance, always conscious of not being a third wheel. The first signs that something was changing in our relationship appeared gradually. Amanda began staying later at work, citing project deadlines and team meetings. Our weekend hikes became less frequent as she claimed exhaustion from her work week. I tried to rekindle our connection with surprise date nights and small gifts, but her enthusiasm seemed forced rather than genuine. Then Amanda started listening to relationship podcasts and joining new social circles through work. She would casually mention concepts like relationship anarchy and ethical non-monogamy over dinner, watching my reactions carefully. During a gathering with her new friends, someone mentioned their open relationship arrangement, and Amanda engaged enthusiastically in the conversation, while I remained uncomfortably silent, committed to our monogamous relationship. Despite these subtle shifts, I remained deeply in love with Amanda. Our apartment was filled with photos of our adventures together. The kitchen still witnessed our Sunday morning pancake traditions. I had even started researching engagement rings, believing that whatever phase she was going through would pass. I was certain our foundation was strong enough to weather any temporary doubt. I thought I understood Amanda completely after 3 years. I believed I knew her values, her desires, and her vision for our future. I was wrong in ways I could never have anticipated, and the revelation would come on a quiet Sunday morning that would change everything about our relationship and my understanding of love itself. That Sunday began like any other. I made French press coffee while Amanda prepared avocado toast with poached eggs. The Seattle rain tapped gently against our windows as we settled at our small dining table. Then Amanda put down her fork, took a deep breath, and said the words that would begin the unraveling of everything. "Darren, I want to talk about opening up our relationship." I nearly choked on my coffee. This was no longer theoretical discussion, but a direct request. Amanda launched into her carefully prepared arguments, speaking about relationship evolution, the human need for varied experiences, and how this could actually strengthen our bond through radical honesty. "I love you," she insisted, reaching for my hand. "This is not about replacing you. It is about expanding our experiences while keeping our primary relationship intact. My mind raced with questions and emotions, primarily hurt. Was I not enough? Had she already met someone else? Was this the beginning of our end? The conversation lasted hours, with me asking increasingly pointed questions, and Amanda providing rehearsed answers that felt hollow despite their logical structure. This was not a one-day discussion. Over the next 2 weeks, we had lengthy, emotionally charged conversations nearly every evening. Amanda brought home books on polyamory and ethical non-monogamy. She showed me online forums of supposedly happy couples navigating open relationships successfully. She repeatedly assured me this was about mutual growth, not replacing what we had built together. "I will always come home to you," she promised. "You will always be my priority." Feeling pressured and afraid of losing her, I began researching open relationships myself. I read articles describing jealousy as something to be overcome rather than a natural response to threat. I browsed forums where people detailed their struggles and triumphs with non-monogamy. The more I read, the more confused I became. Some people seemed genuinely happy with these arrangements, while others described devastating emotional fallout. After 2 weeks of these discussions, my resistance was wearing down. Amanda seemed so certain, so convinced this was the path forward. She promised we would establish clear boundaries. We would maintain honest communication. Either of us could veto potential partners who made the other uncomfortable. And most importantly, our relationship would remain the absolute priority. With profound reluctance, I agreed to try. Looking back, I recognize I was operating from fear rather than genuine desire for this arrangement. I was afraid of being seen as controlling, insecure, or old-fashioned. Most of all, I was terrified of losing Amanda if I continued to resist what she clearly wanted so badly. We formally established our rules on a shared document. Full disclosure about all interactions. No sleeping over elsewhere. No mutual friends. Regular check-ins about feelings and boundaries. Veto power for either of us at any time. Our primary relationship would always take precedence over any secondary connections. It all seemed so logical and manageable on paper. The reality proved far more painful than anticipated. Our first open social event was a house party hosted by one of Amanda's work friends. Within 30 minutes of arriving, Amanda was across the room, deeply engaged in conversation with a tall, bearded man I had never met. Their body language was unmistakable, leaning in close, her hand occasionally touching his arm. I stood alone by the snack table, nursing a beer that tasted increasingly bitter, feeling invisible and discarded. That night, Amanda came home with me, but the experience had shaken my confidence. Over the next few weeks, she began coming home late several nights, offering vague descriptions of her evenings that lacked the detailed honesty we had agreed upon. When I pressed for more information, she accused me of being unnecessarily jealous and not really embracing the open relationship concept. My resentment grew alongside my loneliness. While Amanda explored her new freedom, I remained at home most evenings, unable to muster enthusiasm for dating apps or casual connections. This was never what I wanted, and my participation felt forced and unnatural. Then came the chance encounter that would change everything. I was working remotely at a coffee shop downtown, needing a change of scenery from our apartment that increasingly felt like just Amanda's space. Looking up from my laptop, I spotted Jessica ordering at the counter. When she turned and saw me, her expression registered surprise, then concern. "Darren, are you okay? You look exhausted," she said, sliding into the chair across from me without invitation. There was something about Jessica's direct question and genuine concern that broke through my carefully maintained composure. Before I could censor myself, I was telling her everything about the open relationship, my reservations, and the growing distance between Amanda and me. Jessica listened without interruption, her expression darkening. When I finished, she sighed deeply. "I am not surprised, but I am disappointed in how Amanda has handled this," she admitted. "She has been talking about wanting an open relationship for months, long before she ever mentioned it to you." This revelation hit me like a physical blow. All those late work nights suddenly took on new meaning. "She should have been honest with you from the start," Jessica continued. "That is what bothers me most. The deception, not the desire for an open relationship itself." Our conversation lasted for hours. Jessica revealed her own perspectives on relationships, her belief in honest communication above all else, and her concerns about how Amanda had approached the situation. I found myself opening up to Jessica in ways I had not with anyone else about my feelings of inadequacy and rejection. Before we parted, we exchanged phone numbers, ostensibly so Jessica could check in on me. What began as occasional supportive texts evolved into deep conversations about life values and relationships. Jessica revealed more observations about Amanda's behavior that troubled me, including comments Amanda had made suggesting she had specific people in mind when proposing our open arrangement. With each conversation, a disturbing picture emerged. The open relationship had never been about mutual exploration or strengthening our bond. It appeared to be Amanda's strategy for transitioning out of our relationship while keeping me as a safe backup option. The realization was both painful and strangely liberating, clearing away the fog of confusion that had enveloped me for weeks. 3 weeks after the coffee shop encounter, Amanda canceled our planned dinner date, citing an unexpected work emergency. By this point, I had grown accustomed to her last-minute cancellations. Without thinking twice, I texted Jessica free tonight if you want to grab a drink and talk. We met at a dimly lit bar in Ballard away from our usual neighborhood haunts. The conversation flowed easily as it had in our text exchanges. Jessica ordered whiskey neat a departure from Amanda's preferred complicated cocktails and spoke candidly about her own dating struggles. I have always valued honesty above almost everything else, she said, her blue eyes holding mine steadily. That is why this situation with Amanda bothers me so much. You deserve better. As the evening progressed, and we moved from our first drinks to our third, the conversation shifted from Amanda to ourselves. Jessica spoke about her passion for helping people recover from injuries, finding purpose in witnessing their progress. I shared my frustrations with corporate software development and my dream of eventually creating educational technology for underserved communities. I never knew that about you, Jessica said, leaning closer. Amanda never mentioned your interest in education. I do not think I ever told her, I realized aloud. Somewhere along the line, I stopped sharing my deeper thoughts with her. The revelation hung between us, heavy with implication. The distance between Amanda and me had been growing long before the open relationship proposal. Jessica's apartment was only 2 blocks from the bar. When she suggested continuing our conversation there, it seemed like the natural progression of our evening. Her place was smaller than ours, but warmly decorated with plants and colorful artwork. We settled on her couch with glasses of water, suddenly aware of the tension building between us. I have a confession, Jessica said, her voice dropping lower. I have always thought you were incredibly attractive, Darren. Not just physically, but your kindness, your intelligence, the way you listen when someone speaks. She paused. I never would have said anything while you and Amanda were exclusive. I respect relationships too much for that. But now, the unfinished sentence hung between us. Jessica leaned forward, her intention clear, giving me time to pull away if I wanted to. I did not want to. Our first kiss was tentative questioning, but the second was not. Years of suppressed attraction surfaced as Jessica moved closer, her hands finding my face, my shoulders, my back. Are you sure about this? I asked, my last attempt at responsibility. Amanda is seeing at least 2 other people right now, Jessica replied. But more importantly, I have wanted this for longer than I should admit. That was all the permission my conscience needed. We moved to her bedroom where passion mixed with an unexpected emotional connection. With Amanda, sex had become routine, but with Jessica, each touch felt like a discovery. There was an honesty in our interaction that I had been missing for months, perhaps years. This was not just physical release, but a genuine connection between 2 people who saw and appreciated each other. Morning brought sunshine streaming through her blinds, and the inevitable questions. Jessica propped herself up on one elbow, studying my face. Regrets, she asked directly. I considered the question seriously before answering. About last night, no. About the circumstances that brought us here, many. Jessica nodded, understanding the distinction. Over coffee, she revealed more details about Amanda's recent activities that she had been reluctant to share before. According to mutual friends, Amanda had been seeing a coworker seriously for at least 2 months, well before proposing the open relationship. Over the next 2 weeks, Jessica and I continued to meet secretly. What had begun as physical attraction developed into deeper emotional connection. We talked about books, debated politics, shared childhood stories, and discovered shared dreams for the future. For the first time in months, I felt seen and valued rather than peripheral to someone else's journey. Amanda grew increasingly suspicious about my sudden busy schedule. The irony of her suspicion was not lost on me, considering she had been the one to propose this arrangement. Then came the night that brought everything crashing down. I had left my phone charging in the kitchen while showering. Amanda, breaking our trust agreement, went through my messages and found the exchanges with Jessica. When I emerged from the bathroom, Amanda was standing in the living room, my phone in her hand, her face contorted with rage. You and Jessica, my best friend. How could you do this to me? The hypocrisy was so stunning I nearly laughed. You wanted an open relationship, Amanda. You pursued it for weeks until I agreed. You have been seeing other people this entire time. Not my best friend. There are boundaries, Darren. She screamed, her voice rising to a pitch that had our neighbors pounding on the walls. You never specified that in our agreement, I replied, maintaining a calm that only infuriated her more. In fact, you have broken most of our agreed rules already. Amanda called Jessica, immediately putting her on speakerphone to create a three-way confrontation. Jessica answered, her voice steady, even when Amanda launched into accusations of betrayal and deceit. I am coming over, Jessica said simply. We should discuss this in person. 20 minutes later, our apartment became the stage for a dramatic confrontation that revealed the full extent of Amanda's deception. When Jessica calmly pointed out that Amanda had been seeing her coworker Ryan before ever proposing the open relationship, Amanda's facade cracked. That is different. She insisted, tears streaming down her face. Ryan and I have a connection. I was trying to find a way to explore that without losing what Darren and I built. So you lied, Jessica said flatly. You pretended this was about relationship philosophy when it was really about justifying your affair. Amanda's emotional breakdown was spectacular. She screamed accusations, cried hysterically, and even threatened to destroy my laptop at one point. When she knocked over a bookshelf in her rage, the neighbors called building security. The night ended with Amanda storming out, announcing she would stay with her sister, until I came to my senses and kicked that traitorous bitch out of our lives. The apartment felt eerily quiet after Amanda left. Jessica helped me right the fallen bookshelf, and we worked silently, collecting scattered books and broken picture frames. When everything was restored to some semblance of order, she hugged me tightly and left both of us understanding we needed space to process the explosion we had just witnessed. Alone in what had been our shared home, I spent the next week in deep self-reflection. Amanda sent dozens of texts, ranging from tearful apologies to vicious accusations. I responded minimally, needing time to sort through my own complicated feelings. The relationship I had believed in so completely had been built on shifting sand, and now the tide had washed it away. After a week of space, I agreed to meet Amanda at a neutral coffee shop. She arrived with puffy eyes and a practiced speech about forgiveness and moving forward. I listened patiently as she explained that her reaction had been about betrayal of friendship, not jealousy. She suggested we could rebuild with new boundaries and understanding. When she finished, I took a deep breath and spoke my truth. Amanda, our relationship was over the moment you decided to see Ryan, but created the open relationship narrative instead of being honest. It was not about exploration or growth. It was about you wanting permission to cheat without consequences. That is not fair, she protested weakly. What is not fair was manipulating me for months, instead of having the courage to either remain faithful or end our relationship honorably. We talked for 2 hours, eventually reaching a surprisingly mature agreement about separating our lives. We would take turns packing at the apartment. She would move out since my name was primary on the lease. We created a spreadsheet to divide furniture and shared purchases. There were tears, but also a sense of inevitable conclusion. What had been broken could not be repaired. Disentangling 3 years of shared life proved logistically challenging. Friends were forced to choose sides or maintain uncomfortable neutrality. Social media became a minefield of potential encounters. I muted Amanda on all platforms, unable to bear seeing her inevitable posts about toxic relationships and personal growth journeys. Jessica and I maintained distance during this transition period. Whatever was developing between us needed clean soil to grow in, not the contaminated ground of betrayal and reaction. We texted occasionally, checking in on each other's well-being, but agreed to take several weeks apart to ensure our feelings were genuine and not merely situational. Meanwhile, I found a smaller apartment across town and began rebuilding my independent life. I joined a hiking club to reclaim an activity that had brought me joy before it became associated with Amanda. I started therapy to process the gaslighting and manipulation I had experienced. Most importantly, I established firm boundaries in all my relationships, no longer afraid to state my needs clearly and directly. 2 months after the dramatic confrontation, Jessica and I met for coffee. The attraction remained, but we approached it cautiously with hard-earned wisdom. I want to try this for real, she said, but I need to know you have healed enough to see me as Jessica, not as an escape from or revenge against Amanda. Her honesty was refreshing. We agreed to date slowly with complete transparency about our feelings and expectations. No game playing, no manipulation, just two people exploring a connection built on mutual respect and genuine interest. The irony of finding a healthier relationship through the wreckage of Amanda's open relationship experiment is not lost on me. What began as her attempt to justify infidelity ultimately led me to a partner who values honesty above comfort and direct communication above conflict avoidance. The greatest lesson I learned through this painful experience was the importance of honoring my own values and boundaries. By trying to be the cool boyfriend who could embrace an open relationship despite my discomfort, I betrayed myself. True growth came not from forcing myself into a relationship model that violated my core values, but from having the courage to acknowledge those values and live in accordance with them. Today, 6 months later, Jessica and I continue to build something beautiful together. We have agreements rather than rules, and our foundation is honesty, even when it hurts. Amanda occasionally attempts contact, but those messages go unanswered. Some chapters need to remain closed to write new ones. If you have ever found yourself compromising your core values to please someone else, I hope my story offers some perspective. The right relationship expands who you are, not diminishes it. Have you ever experienced something similar in your relationships? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and lessons learned. Share with someone who might need to hear that standing firm in their values is not selfishness but self-respect. Thank you for listening to my journey from manipulation to authentic connection. Remember, sometimes the painful endings are just the difficult beginnings of something much better suited to the person you are truly meant to be.